Good afternoon. My name's Catherine McNamara, and my book, Love Stories for Hectic People, is coming out with Reflex Press in the UK next week. I will read you a story from the collection that's called In Venice. Thank you. Donna Carmichael felt the full weight of her name when she and Greg were in Italy. Every time she handed over their passports to a hotel receptionist, the sleek man or abundant woman would show teeth and say, "Donna, you are a woman, Signora Carmichael." Several hotels into their trip, an American explained that Donna meant woman, meaning that Donna's Melbourneian parents had christened her with a name that merely flagged her gender. An amused Greg started calling her woman when they were lying undressed on hotel beds. Greg was a man who almost always invited sex into the room in ways that were exploratory and tender. But when he called her woman, he encouraged Donna to perform lavish and servile acts. One glum morning in Venice, they climbed back to their room after breakfast, having decided to spend the day in bed. Donna felt tingles of anticipation along the bridge between her legs. They reached the door to their room, and Greg inserted the brass key dangling from a burnished ball of wood. They stood looking through a doorway at the rumpled bedsheets they'd left an hour ago, the day now refrained. Greg closed the door. Donna undid her jeans. They stood fondling each other, clothes flying off, until they dropped to the floor and crawled to the center of the gritty room. Greg breathed the word woman in Donna's eager ear. Something in the muted marine air or beyond the peaked Gothic windows made the game edgier, and soon Greg, this was a first, found himself fiercely slapping Donna's rump. When it was over, Donna rolled on the carpet, her bottom still burning as she returned to the raft of her body. Greg lifted away and went to the bathroom, where he stared at a creeping smile on his face. A boat sloshed past below, and Donna looked at Greg's Casanova translation, fallen to the floor. Donna walked out of the Pega Guggenheim Museum holding Greg's hand. They were not particularly satisfied. It was an arid, motionless place. What had really stayed with them was something they had seen yesterday in a costume museum. It was a pair of platformed chopines for tiny feet. The woodwork was a chipped sage green, painted with flowers, and the clogs were impossibly teetering, designed for the high tides that slew through the lagoon town. They were so tall, a courtesan would require 2 maidens to help her walk. Over drinks, Greg and Donna talked about Greg's fierce slapping that morning, and whether they wanted to continue in this vein, or should even, and where it might lead them next. Excited and frank, they looked at the arousing city surrounding them, immersed in the sultry lagoon. Both agreed their urges belonged to a wider, carnal history they were keen to plumb. Thank you.